And that takes us to Okada Omega. Winner takes all for the Continental and International Championships with the new belt there ringside. And Okada and Callis make their entrance first, followed by our next live performance for Kenny Omega's latest theme.
This is the new theme that he debuted at Wrestle Kingdom.
Correct.
The Take Flight, the one that people seem to hate.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on it?
I'm not a big fan of the song itself, but it's not like make or break for me either.
I don't like it as much either as like his AEW theme nor his New Japan theme, which is my personal preference. But I guess like if you're Kenny Omega, you're not asking like from what seems like a pretty renowned composer for Final Fantasy to custom make your theme only to not use it because people on the internet don't like it, right? They could have probably come up with like a better sort of like combination of the two, like maybe start with this one, go to the other one, but he's committed to using this and this one only for his big matches.
Just doesn't have the punch of like Battle Cry or the urgency of his New Japan theme, but it's whatever. But
they haven't had a live performance here from the singer on the song, Jason Charles Miller.
Okay. Yeah. He was surrounded by what would you call these? Like these like druids.
Yeah, some sort of druid type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So their first match since Dominion 2018, singles match number 5 between these two. First time on US soil. If you recall, this was going to be the planned match that New Japan would do at Madison Square Garden on the G1 Supercard back in 2019.
Didn't realize that. Interesting.
That was going to be from Kenny's mouth. That was going to be what they did, but instead dropped the title to Tanahashi, and that was it for him. With
so,
New
what
Japan.
Do we have? Jay White and Okada.
Jay White and Okada ended up being the slot there. So here we are, all these years later, meeting in the U.S. for the first time, and the crowd cheers as the bell rings. Excalibur notes, "We would be remiss not to mention his battle with diverticulitis." We would be remiss.
Yeah.
And Jim Ross pipes in noting he's had diverticulitis and it's a bitch. Correct. And we have just come to the realization for the rest of time, this man's going to be selling his midsection for every match from now until eternity. And thus would be the theme of this match. Okada goes after the diverticulitis in his body. Whatever part of his intestine he didn't get in the attack, he was going to get tonight. And Omega grabs the body during You Can't Escape and takes a flapjack right onto his chest. And Callis is on commentary, gets up, does his spot, striking Omega, and Jim Ross just, "What's wrong with you, Don?" Omega is selling the body, hits a Rana, sending Okada out of the ring, and then he summons all the power of inside to hit the Terminator dive.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to
Impressive.
hit that after
it's honestly like, I mean, we kind of talk about it, yeah, like as if it's just, oh yeah, it's Kenny Omega doing a Terminator dive. He does it in every match. Just, I guess, knowing a little bit more about like just the extent of like those injuries and exactly what happened to him, I think like does make me appreciate even a standard move like a Terminator dive that much more, especially when it's executed exactly the same as he's always done it.
I'm curious what the takeaway of this match will be, because like from Kenny's own words, like he is not going to be able to produce the athletic insanity of the previous matches that he presented here. But this is Kenny Omega now, this post diverticulitis Kenny Omega, that it's like he has got to struggle. And that's kind of part of the whole storytelling of all of this. Like, this is a guy who is no longer this, 35-year-old phenom that can do everything under the sun. This is one who has now been through the wears of both health and professional wrestling for the last 8 years. And now he has got to be able to find that he's got to overcome that struggle. And that's sort of the layout of matches like this as well. It's G1 Climax season, and that means the Post Wrestling Cafe has you covered with podcasts covering every single tournament match. Plus, we've got Rewind Away going back to 2005 to review Vengeance featuring Triple H versus Batista in a Hell in a Cell match. John and Way are going to be reviewing F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt, and of course, XL editions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. Ad-free with the news of the week and your feedback. Sign up now at postwrestlingcafe.com. But there were many callbacks to their old matches throughout this, including Kenny going for a jackknife cover, which is countered by Okada hooking the legs, which was how he caught him in the 2 out of 3 falls match for the first fall. But this time it was Omega kicking out. Omega then tries to block a Rainmaker. Okada just feints and knees him in the body. And it's Omega coming back with punches and finally hits his first pair of V-triggers. And that would be his big offense, was utilizing the V-triggers. And then Omega teases the Dragon Suplex off the top, the same spot that he did in the first match at the Tokyo Dome. They presented a much safer one, as safe as you can, as Okada was rotated coming off the top, and the replay, it looks like he comes down like on his cheek, like on the side of his face coming down here, which didn't look fun. But if you watch the original spot where these two just come right down on their necks, I'll take this one every single day of the week instead. So they're down. He tries for the one-winged angel, but Okada, like all the other matches, has all these great counters. So the one-winged angel turns into a tombstone and then a spinning Rainmaker for a 2 count. Omega tries for the Kreutz Wrath, and he's got to regrip as he holds him up. And then when he hits the bridging German part, he literally can't hold the bridge for it. And this is one of those where I know there's going to be people that are just sticklers for execution. For the whole story of this match, he should not be able to do this.
I felt like this was intentional. I didn't think this
it might have been. Like, Kenny is probably thinking at that level where if you are someone thinking about like what is believable is him not being able to do this late in the match and putting that kind of stress on himself. And you could be totally right that is the level he is thinking about for these spots, because I thought this made perfect sense.
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with it at all. I thought it was intended.
Rocky Romero shows up and gets yanked off the apron by Kota Ibushi. And I failed to mention that Ibushi is in his corner, much like he was for the last Dominion match as well. Callis then distracts Omega, and Omega counters a knee strike, hits the one-winged angel, but the referee gets pulled out by Don Callis. I wasn't the biggest fan of this spot, of this tease of it, with the ref being pulled out. But the referee is pulled out to their death, because down runs Aubrey, not quite at Charles Robinson's speed, but she is in to replace the ref. And we get a V-trigger, and one-winged angel now is stopped into a Rainmaker for a 2 count. Okada goes back to the body, hits a drop kick, and then sets up for another Rainmaker, which Kenny counters with a small package for a big 2 count. Okada doesn't relent. He lifts him up, Emerald Flosion, followed by a final Rainmaker to pin Omega in 30 minutes and 31 seconds. Ibushi tends to Omega, helping him to the back, and Kazuchika Okada is your unified champion in what was, I thought this was an excellent match, and I know it's going to be compared to some of the greatest matches. I don't think this match reached the other 4, but that's hardly a diminishment of this match that I thought was pretty stellar and really dramatic, especially towards the end. And I liked all the body stuff that Omega had to overcome. And I think for the story they're telling, I think it made a whole lot of sense for Okada to win this one, because I got the sense at the end of this that this was part 1 instead of like their final meeting. This will certainly worked like one where this match will happen again.
It also evens their record.
That's right. They are now 2-2-1. Yes.
Yeah.
Great point.
So, on a show like this, I thought this match had a lot to contend with. Okay. Number one is the show's runtime. Like we were fucking 7 hours in or something like that.
Yeah, it was. This one bled into 8 o'clock, so this was going into Saturday night's main event.
7 hours if you watch the 0 hour. Okay.
It's just insane.
The fact that there was like this amazing, like all the amazing wrestling that we were just presented with in the middle of, from much younger, and much healthier participants just doing everything under the sun, right? But the most difficult thing that this match had to go up against was themselves and their own history and the incredible just like standards that they themselves have set for themselves. So I mean, since these matches last occurred, like, the expectations and the legend of them, I think, has only increased, and therefore you're contending with all of those things. Not to mention diverticulitis and who knows what else that Okada probably has dealt with that we don't really know about. I think that's a match where if you're watching in a vacuum, you are really, really, really happy with it. This was a great match that had great body part selling and told a great story with great build up to the finale. if you're expecting 7-star match, you might be disappointed that you only got a 4.5-star match. Like that is just the sort
That's
of
actually exactly what I had it at, was 4.5.
well, that is the realm though in which we are dealing with, like when it comes to these two, right? Like we're expecting something beyond a 5, and if it's only 4.5, well, hey, like is that considered disappointment? That's a really tough thing to like. How spoiled are we, you know, in if we feel that way? The thing is though, with these two, after that first match, 6-star match, they did manage to exceed like that standard.
This is all the same talking that happened. Like, and then when they finally did the Dominion match, it was like, what left can they do in this? And I would say most would say the last one was the best of them, the 2 out of 3 falls match.
Right. So all that said, like in just maybe hearing Kenny talk about this, I was expecting a different approach to this one that was entirely like so that it wouldn't even be in the same conversation as the others. I think they were maybe attempting that through the body part story here, which again was very well told. Maybe I was like expecting a bit more novelty just even than that approach, because while I thought this was a great body part selling match, it was kind of hardly reinventing the wheel in any sort of significant way, in my opinion. And again, maybe that's just really high expectation that I have for like, you know, the creative output of both of these men. But like by the end, it was a great example of one certain type of match, but maybe not to the heights and creativity, or at least like sort of like groundbreaking creativity, I guess you could say, that I think maybe I was expecting, maybe unfairly.
There was nothing insane with tables that were staples of some of the other matches as well. I can't say that was a negative towards this match, because I did not want to see these guys murder each other either.
I didn't either. And I don't want that.
They did some stuff in those matches that are just like mind-boggling to go back and look at.
Can we say this was the best match of either man's output this year? Because I would not.
The candidate would be... It was.
I like the Kid match more.
Exactly. I would put Omega and Kid above this. This would not be.
To me, the difference was the change in storytelling. To me, that was like a unique storytelling match in that you kind of had Kenny coming into enemy territory, suddenly playing heel against this guy defending the honor of New Japan. I think it's those sort of elements that I was kind of looking for in this match. Like the type of thing that, again, I wasn't necessarily looking for a physical replication or like, you know, like any sort of version of maybe the past. I was more so looking for like, what's that new interesting wrinkle that makes this match stand on its own? And in that sense, I might have been a little bit let down. But I also recognize this is probably a first chapter of a new series that these two are going to have.
Yeah, I thought it was a really stellar match, and it's only their history that is going to be like people's comparison point. But like, that's give and take. Like, why was there so much anticipation for this match? It's because of the history. So it's like, it's not unfair to compare this to what this was sold off of. It's the renewal of this legendary rivalry that took these two men's careers to a different level.
It sounds like, you know, maybe fans like us were expecting a miracle. And that's only because these two are miracle workers and they have proven that in the past. But all that said, like, this was an excellent match, one that I think we will probably show even more appreciation for with time. So I hope you know, especially if it's a first chapter of a bigger story, I hope to see what they can build on top of this.